Kyle Kulinski and all those people over there at Secular Talk are thinking, if loving the orange man is wrong, I don't want to be right. Only Donald Trump can get us into a war. We'll call it, what name should we call this war? Let's call it the 12-day war. That sounds perfect, right? And only he can actually get a bombing done on nuclear facilities and get us out of this war within 12 days. Orange man, another job well done. Sometimes in life, we have these people, they're like the antagonist, right? You could even call it the devil. Sometimes we have these people that we grow up around, and for some reason they get the best of us. To the Democrats, that person is the orange man. All women want him, and all black men wish they could be him. He's not your typical white guy. He's the orange man. He's awesome. Right now, Sean and all my black male listeners are thinking, we do not want to be the orange man. Okay, maybe you don't want to be him, but let's be honest. The orange man's got something really cool about him. He's able to get shit done. Now, I know all my Democrat viewers are rolling their eyes, but guys, this is what's fun about life. The reality was we didn't want this thing to go any further. If Trump is right and they're actually gonna do the ceasefire, the one thing that I always think is weird about ceasefires is when they start this, hey, we're gonna let people finish the mission that they're on. So apparently Iran can attack for another handful of hours, and then once they're done, I guess Israel is allowed to attack for an additional handful of hours. But I think if they're both serious about this, they should just call it a day and end it now. Kyle Kulinski and Secular Talk, by the way, a good show. Check it out. Do they think left of center? Of course they do. But that doesn't mean he's not talented. And it doesn't mean that his show isn't good, because it is. He's actually in disbelief because there's some reports out that say Iran knows nothing about this supposed ceasefire. But I've heard on MSNBC, CNN, Fox, News Nation, and all the local stations too, that it sounds like it's a legit thing and it is a ceasefire. The reason I was watching Kyle Kulinski is because he was in such disbelief that he just thought this is bullshit. And then on top of him thinking it was BS, guys, all of the people in his comments were almost angry about it. That's the problem with politics. We're technically on the same team. There's a piece of me that wonders if there is no such thing as Democrats and Republicans. It's all the uniparty. They're all in it together. War is a racket, right? And I think what happens is we don't realize what we want. When it comes to politics, we just want the opposite of what the other team's doing. So if President Trump finds a way to end this war in 12 days, no matter how it came about, the Democrats are going to say there's something bullshit about it. There's something wrong about it. And it's because of this bipolarity system that we have. Maybe Chris Cuomo and all those people at News Nation actually have it right. Maybe instead of gravitating towards the left and the Democrat Party, or the right and the Republican Party, maybe we need to all become independents. Sometimes you're going to feel a little bit more conservative in life. It's just true. And sometimes you're going to feel a little bit more liberal. I mean, take financial planning, for example. When you're younger, you can be a little bit more wild, take some more risks. As you get older, you got to be a little bit more conservative. You can't really invest crazily. You got to be smart. What are you trying to say, Jesse? Should we open up a savings account? I think it's always a good idea when you quit spending a bunch of money and try to save your pennies for a rainy day. Unfortunately, this video is not talking about that. What it's talking about is, why are we so against one another? Do we really want this war to go on just so we can prove that Donald Trump's a butthole, right? Or do we want this war to end? And regardless how it ends, the fact that it's ending is actually a good thing. That's what I would argue for. And apparently, those bombs that I was doubting yesterday hurt Iran. Apparently, they really did do the trick. By the way, I mentioned a number yesterday that Iran had invested $9 trillion into those 3 different nuclear facilities. Guys, I don't know where I found that. I don't know how I heard that. Maybe I heard 9 billion and put it in as trillion. But considering only 20 people are going to hear my words, just know I might have made a mistake on that. But here's the one thing you can take to the bank. It doesn't matter if everything I spew is erroneous. The point of this channel is that you put on your shoes and every day we take a 20 to 30 minute walk with one another. That's the key. Because the truth is, a lot of people make mistakes in this world. We call them humans. But one mistake you don't want to make is with your health. Start a walking routine, start drinking water every single day, and start to making a decision to stay away from the sugar, just like Democrats like to stay away from Orange Man. Stay away from the sugar. At Jason Aragoni 372 says, watch Iran be blamed for breaking the non-existent ceasefire. So let's say you guys on the left are correct and that Iran really did not do any such thing. There is no ceasefire. This is all just Trump making up bullshit to maybe make the stock market go up, right? So let's say you're right. I could totally see Iran being blamed for breaking the ceasefire. And if they do it correctly, it could actually make Americans approve of more military maneuvers out there, right? So maybe Kyle and the Democrats have a point here. The thing is, though, is I think we're going to find out pretty quickly that it actually is a real ceasefire. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. And by the way, if you guys are putting on your shoes and walking with me, and you live in a state like Texas or Florida or Arizona where it's hot as heck out here, I really appreciate you. Keep going. If we can do it during the toughest times of the year, then during the good times of the year, it'll be perfect, right? Yeah, it's called Walk, Talk, Vent. YouTube? Yeah. Walk, Talk, Vent. Yeah, check it out. Have a good day. And that's how easy it is to gain a new viewer. You know what's funny? I have people in the neighborhood, they say, hey, what's your channel's name? I'd like to follow you. Never once have I seen a comment say, hey, I'm that guy in the neighborhood. You know why? Because they listen to this channel and they say, this guy is pro-Orange Man. I'm out of here. The real problem people have with the Orange Man is that we're used to presidents kind of being in the background, right? We're used to them being quiet, and we know that as long as they're quiet, things are going well. With the Orange Man, he's so loud and boisterous, you can't help but take note of him. And if you're a Democrat, you have to hate the guy because, what would you say? My God, this Republican, he's just so charismatic and everybody that talks to him loves him. Even your guys' hero, Bill Maher, he goes to spend the night with him at Washington, in Washington, D.C. at the White House. And now Bill Maher's in love with the Orange Man. And by the way, Kyle Kulinski hates that. You know why? Because deep down, Kyle Kulinski probably loves Bill Maher even more than his own wife. Kyle, you're just jealous. You're jealous because no matter how big your army of liberals becomes, you're never going to be 1/10 of the Orange Man, Kyle. You're never going to be 1/10. How come nobody's friendly enough with Kyle to say, Kyle, just have your natural dark hair grow out? The guy would look 2, maybe 3 times better if he just went with the hair that God gave him. But see, that's the problem with the Liberal Party. They're not cool with what God gave them to work with. They want something that man gives them. So Kyle, you keep putting that blonde hair bullshit into your scalp. But just know, I'm actually a friend, and I'm telling you, get rid of that blonde hair. It looks like 1997. At Nana Hines says, Iran says they have no talks regarding a ceasefire. Naha, I think you're listening to Kyle Kulinski. There's a piece of you that has such bad Trump derangement syndrome that even when every media outlet confirms what the Orange Man says, you guys don't want to believe it. Thank God Orange Man doesn't come out and say, I'm breathing oxygen today, because every liberal Democrat would hold their breath and perish. Thank God Trump hasn't come out as pro-oxygen. Equality for All Humans Now says America needs regime change as soon as possible. Regime. We need regime change. All right, so correct me if I'm wrong, but if we move Trump out of office, then J.D. Vance, or as you guys like to call him, Smokey Eye, all of a sudden he becomes our leader. And guys, all he has morphed into over the past year is just a younger version of Trump. By the way, if you look at how he first came up, I'm not even sure he's Republican. Vance might be one of those people that just kind of chameleonized into the vice president role. With that being said, a lot of Democrats, as they get older, become more conservative and become Republicans. No, we don't. Yes, you do. People don't get older and say, I've decided to become a Democrat. I've been a Republican my whole life, and now I've just decided that common sense is ridiculous. I'm going to be a Democrat. No, as we get older, we say, oh my God, none of my friends have blue or purple hair anymore. Maybe it's time I grow up, and I'm tired of these taxes. I'm going to go ahead and vote Republican. That's what happens, Kyle. They all end up becoming Republican as we get older, Kyle. I like Kyle Kulinski. Really talented guy. If you are listening to this, Kyle, which I know you're not, but I'm sure one or two of your fans are, you're talented. You're talented. Here's the problem with really talented, rich, liberal Democrats. You would never know that they were Democrat unless they tell you, other than the yellow hair, because they all live in gated communities. They all live the life of a Republican. All their kids go to private Catholic schools. Isn't that crazy? If being a Democrat is so perfectly right, by the way, I'm not talking shit about Democrats. I'm trying to get you to laugh. Sometimes it's good to laugh at yourselves. If being a Democrat is so perfect and right, then how come all the successful Democrats in the world live like Republicans? Answer me that. Riddle me that. At my comment says, I have zero respect for any Republican that supports Trump. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, I will admit that I am ashamed of President Trump. If you Democrats will admit that you're ashamed of the last president you put up, because you guys know as well as I do, he did not know what the heck was going on. Here's what's so scary. How can people that were so okay with the last president have anything to say about people voting for this president? Were you just thinking that we should blindly vote for Biden? Did you guys notice that it wasn't until Kamala took over in the race that you guys actually gave up on Biden? You guys were willing to go with him till the last second. And then when everybody said, my goodness, maybe we should go with Kamala, not because she's the smartest woman in the world, but because at least she can speak. She might repeat the same sentence over, but at least she can speak. I'm just happy. Today is that day where I can say the Orange Man won. And have you noticed? Nobody's talking about how much money their 401k lost. Why is that? Because over the last couple months, shit has bounced back. That's the problem with politics. The only way the Democrats win is if the Republicans fail. And the only thing that happens when the Republicans fail is that the country sucks. And vice versa. When the Democrats are in charge, the only way the Republicans are happy is if the Democrats are running amok, right? If everything's sucking. When things suck, the other side looks like they've got all the answers, but the reality is, it's designed to suck. We're always going to be against each other. There's always going to be someone that tells you, oh, it just looks like this president's good for the economy, but in reality, he's running things into the ground. It's all theater. That's all it is. It's theater. DKP 3000 says, we need massive protests. Shut down everything until Trump is out. You know what that's DKP 3000 saying? He's saying, I really don't want to go to work anymore. Can we just all stop working until Trump gets out of office? That's how Democrats think. I don't want to work. I want to stay home. Can you guys just all strike until we get a new president? That is not an answer. How come Democrats don't ever respond and say, shut up, put your work boots on, go to work, quit complaining? You ever heard somebody say, hey, if you're complaining, you're just part of the problem? If you're not coming up with solutions, you're part of the problem. That's the problem with the Democrat Party. You guys don't have any solutions. Your only solution is still Orange Man bad. Orange Man actually is what we like to call a mover and a shaker. He's a go-getter. You guys deep down like go-getters and movers and shakers because everybody deep down appreciates go-getters and movers and shakers. Donald Trump could be broke today and he'll still find a way to be successful tomorrow. The rest of us, not so much. We find a way to complain about all the good things we have, and we like to accentuate the negatives, and it's just our lot in life. Why, Jesse? Because that's what human nature is. We're never going to see the bright side of things. We're not meant to. We always see the dark side of things. When you're a Republican, the dark side starts with the Democrat Party, and when you're a Democrat, the darkness starts with the Republican Party. And the best thing about the Republican Party is the Democrats aren't even mad at us anymore. They're mad at the Orange Man. You almost never hear them complain or talk about the different policies and the different sides of each story. All it is this guy is a racist, misogynistic, orange pig. That's all you get. If that's something that you guys are cool with, you guys are going to lose the next 20 elections in a row. Mary Taylor, 6055, says, I'm going to cry. Republicans, please help the Democrats get rid of Trump and Vance. They are the enemy of our country. Mary, if you think that you crying is going to make a Republican want to vote for you, you crying is exactly why Republicans don't want to ever vote Democrat ever again. And more Democrats are going to join the Republican Party because there's one thing we know is true in this world. You would rather be a go-getter that fails than just a person that bitches and complains all day. How do you know this, Jesse? Because I'm always bitching and complaining and nobody likes my YouTube channel. Damn it. Anyway, listen, it might come across like I hate the Democrats. All of my family are Democrats. I'm the only Republican. Sometimes being a Republican is standing up and saying, you people are all crazy. And trust me, you Democrats are all crazy, but I still love you. Hit the thumbs up button, hit subscribe, walk with me again tomorrow. Maybe we'll get into it again. Have a good night.